Join us as we disrupt the global real estate industry, revolutionizing the future of property investment and ownership.
The world has changed. Future without boundaries is just around the corner. The way we live today can become obsolete tomorrow. A whole new dimension driven by the evolution of AI and virtual reality. Are you ready for the inevitable?
From meme to utility, Floki has it all. NFT metaverse game called Valhalla. Floki University, DeFi, charity, and shopping. Floki is governed by the people, for the people. Floki, together there is no stopping us.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Adrian Zdunczyk, CMT, CryptoBurp. Welcome to today's AMA session with a very special guest. And by that I mean Bartosz Lipinski, who is actually co-founder and CEO of a very intriguing exchange. I wanted to say CX exchange. I wanted to say DX exchange. It's actually somewhere in between, which is a very interesting topic to be discussed with today's guest. Bartosz, how is it going? How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, everything is good. Thanks for having me. Super excited about this.
Likewise. I tell you what, I mean, I've been looking forward to this AMA session for a couple of reasons. One of those is basically since it's another opportunity to meet you, Bartosz, which is always good. Another opportunity is for me and for everybody else to learn more about Cube, right? Because I've been seeing so many incredible examples of how fast you're growing as an exchange, right? The whole concept of centralization, decentralization, while it's a spectrum and very different spectrum depending on what kind of exchange we're talking about, the Cube seems to be extremely unique because it actually doesn't seem to be any of those, right? It's somewhere in between. It's somewhere on the line of the spectrum. So if you were to introduce a little bit of the concept of what Cube is, you know, how it all started, like a little bit of an overview for Cube's mission, what's it going to be?
Yeah, sure. So we started really with like from first principles, figuring out how we can prevent like another exchange blowout. And we started from the custody and settlement layer, where we built our own MPC infrastructure and settlement layer that settles natively to different blockchains like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. And on top of that, so that part is decentralized, and that's why, you know, when you're saying, hey, is it a SEX, is it an X? It's not an obvious answer. And then we added on the centralized part, very performant matching engine that can compete with the speed of like NICE and CME or best crypto exchanges.
Okay, so how did it all start? Because you were saying you wanted to kind of like prevent another exchange blowout, which makes sense, right? Especially after FTX and all those scam exchanges popping up. It's so difficult. And at the same time, there is this rising dominant side from the decentralized exchanges, which are different and difficult to work for, also from the regulatory framework perspective, right? So how is Cube different to both centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges?
Yeah, so first, it's like from the centralized exchanges, and they are great. There's a lot of great examples of them, like Jupiter and Solana that like launched recently, Uniswap. All of those are like great, and I use them every day. The one thing that's really different is the cross-chain aspect. So when you buy Bitcoin on Cube, or when you buy Ethereum or Solana, you actually hold the native assets on those exchanges. And the custody part is very different as well, because we offer effectively a competitor to Fireblocks that's pretty expensive for regular folks, and give it at cost to people. So you don't need to worry about securing your private key for your like self-custody wallet or your ledger, because we manage that, but we manage that in a way that prevents an exchange and like bad actors from stealing your money.
Okay, so let's say we've got a new user, like a completely brand new user. Let's say we introduce a friend who is who's a brand new, they never had anything to do with crypto, how easy is it for them to operate with Cube?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's as easy as setting up for Coinbase. You connect your Gmail account or Apple ID, you log in, you create a private key with the decentralized networks of the MPC providers, and then you can start trading immediately. And I think the whole process takes like less than 5 minutes to set up, including KYC. So like one thing worth mentioning is like a fully KYC'd exchange. That's another part that's pretty different from most of the DEXs.
Okay. So the KYC is something that may be, something that may be a pain point to some of the people. I personally, the regulatory framework is easy to work with it. It gives security. It is much safer than, let's say, than most of the other non-KYC exchanges, right? Plus, it's easier to explain that to the accountants and to the lawyers anyway. So what I'm thinking, let's say, is on one hand, we are talking about this ease of the new people coming in, right? And that's okay. And on the other hand, we're talking about MPC wallets, the Guardian network, enhancing safety, this custody aspects. Like, how aren't those people, are those newcomers, aren't they gonna be like a little bit terrified about those strange abbreviations that they don't know what that means?
Yeah, 100%. Like I think even for people that are native to the crypto space, like some of those terms are pretty esoteric. Like when you see like MPC, like multi-party computation, like what does that really mean? It's pretty complicated piece of like technology and cryptography that's involved. But the way we are building everything, at least on the front end side of things, is trying to simplify that as much as possible. Where the golden standard in my mind is really the onboarding on Coinbase, like where you can really have your grandma like on board pretty easily.
Okay, so having grandma onboarded, okay, but what if they don't understand the MPC wallet?
You don't need to understand it really to start trading. It's really as simple as setting up like one password on your phone. You will get like a backup thing that you need to save, and we like walk user through that whole process.
Okay, so because like I said, I'm trying to put myself in the complete layman's shoes, right? There might be in here, many people watching who are not yet familiar with Cube, and there are so many bad actors in the space, right? There are so many scammers, so many fake gurus, self-proclaimed experts, self-proclaimed good exchanges, that they just evaporate all of a sudden. So they're still going to face this resistance with the nomenclature, with the definitions and so on. Do they have to know some specific, like you said, esoteric, like a glossary, like an instruction that they have to read before registering, let's say?
No, I don't think so. Like we walk you through exactly each step that's happening. And then the other thing that like I believe increases some level of trust is, the whole team is like fully doxed. We're in US, not like an island like, Bermuda or, wherever. So, and I have been in the space for a while, like people know me. Same with people on the team. So like that adds some level of trust, like I think, and then like the fact that we are KYCing, we are interacting with regulators, is I think it's pretty important.
It is. I actually agree with that, right? So again, I've strongly kind of like anchored to this MPC wallets and to the Guardian network, because it does, and they do kind of like seem to enhance this overall safety and the asset control, right? So if you were, let's say, to put it in simple terms to explain both of those, right, the MPC wallets and the Guardian network, how exactly does that work so that it enhances the safety there?
Sure. So basically, the key material that user has, like let's imagine your seed phrase. Like if you did the normal ledger or non-custody, like self-custody wallet, you create the seed phrase. What we do, it's not exactly that, but like you could imagine you split that seed phrase that you wrote on a piece of paper into a couple of parts. And then in order to recreate your wallet and to sign something, you need all the parts or X amount of parts, depending on like type of cryptography that you are using. So the way we build the MPC, one, the creation process of the wallet doesn't create that seed phrase on any single machine. It's like distributed across multiple parties. So nobody ever holds the whole secret. And the same is true for signing. So like that message is passed around across the network and partially signed, and that's the like multi-party computation where multiple people actually need to do it. So there's no single place in the system during both creation and signing process where the secret exists. And that's pretty important because one, I'm a bit selfish. A lot of exchanges, the hacks are coming from the inside. So that lets me sleep at night. That people on the that are working for the exchange cannot do anything. And two, external actors, it protects you from that. But third, it actually allows users to have the safety net where if they lose access to their account, they can actually regenerate it. The keys with the Guardian network.
Okay, so let's say we have a situation when there is a breach of some sort of shape or form of the accounts or around the people, right? It happens that a lot of networks, are kind of just congested at times. There are the 51% attacks. There's a whole kind of a mass attacks, on the exchanges. The exchanges go belly up. It happens all the time. So let's try to explain and again and put ourselves in the layman's shoes. How or why should every newcomer that comes to the Cube, right, feel especially secure? Not just because of the technology that you mentioned. We don't even need to understand that. What's there special about Cube that's making it all so secure and so better than the others?
I think one part is we don't aggregate any assets to common wallets, right? So that's one thing that's most of the centralized exchanges would do. They sweep all the assets that user deposits and they put them in something that's called omnibus account. With Cube, what actually happens is you can see the assets on each of the chains for each of your accounts all the time. So if you deposit, and in my opinion, from the exchange perspective, that makes Cube much more crypto native than what you've seen in the past, rather than having a database that stores Agent has 1 Bitcoin and Bartosz has 2. You can actually go to Mempool Space or any Bitcoin Explorer, enter your Cube address that is available to you, and at any given point in time, even without accessing Cube interface, see that you own 1 Bitcoin and I own 2. And we call that proof of ownership. That's directly on the blockchain. So rather having the proof of reserves and proof of liabilities for the exchange, we say, hey, blockchain is already a ledger. You should be able to see your assets all the time. And the only way to move those assets is for the Guardian network to actually sign the transactions.
Okay. So again, there's a whole, let's say, there's a whole bunch of people who have not decided yet, whether they want to go for Coinbase, whether they want to go for Hyperliquid as a DEX, whether they want to go for Cube. So what's the number one thing, the value that is the most prominent, that is the most promoted from Cube for every newcomer that is basically about to visit Cube?
I think if you're a trader, we are giving you the tools to just make you a better trader. You will be if you actually start using interface, we build a bunch of innovative tools around trading itself, even for the spot, that makes trading experience just more fun. MPC, it's pretty hard to sell. Security is pretty hard to sell. You don't sign up for exchange thinking I want to go there because it's the safe place. You want to normally go to the exchange to trade. You want to have the assets that you want to trade, and you want to have good interface for trading. So we are actively adding more assets to the platform. Most of the assets right now are from Solana network, but like I mentioned, we support Bitcoin and Ethereum. And every day we are adding more assets. So I'd say try the trading interface, try trading assets that we have on the platform. And when you are doing that, I guarantee you will have fun and it will be secure as an addition to that.
Okay, so did I get that right? Did I understand correct? That you're kind of like trying to mitigate the risk with cubes, addressing that. You're trying to mitigate the risk with the asset segregation, with the asset aggregation, basically, of not making it easy for a hacker to just attack one pool of assets. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so what other risks are we solving here?
Like primarily both like internal and external bad actors, right? And giving the tools directly to the users by utilizing the blockchains natively. I think it's like a big change. Like if you deposit again Coinbase and any other centralized like Coinbase or any other centralized exchange like Bitcoin, you actually cannot see that Bitcoin on the blockchain. It's like impossible. You need to log into their interface. With this, it's like very, very different. It's literally like having your assets on Ledger or any other wallet that you can monitor yourself with all the crypto native tools. But it's actually on the exchange, available for trading immediately.
Okay, I got that. I mean, if we are to, again, me speaking from a perspective of a trader, right? I perfectly agree that I want to have this clean UI. I want to have this clean, super easy, user experience. Basically, it's seamless, easy, just one click, snap of a finger. The position is on. You don't have to dig through 20 different, web pages and 20 different tabs. It's all clear and transparent. So what is the main approach? Like, how do you decide? How do you measure, and how do you kind of like find those features that people want?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. So everyone on the team worked in traditional finance for years. I've been at Citadel, a bunch of other investment banks, building trading systems for 10 plus years. And that's true for everyone on the team. So what we are really giving people with some of the features that we are bringing to the platform is something that's like has been available only to people at this like big hedge funds, with the interface that's like very unique. And it's pretty hard to I think innovate on the interface part of the exchange, just because like right now when you log into any of the centralized exchanges, they like look very, very similar. But we have a bunch of features that are very unique. Like my favorite one is we actually show you a detailed view of the level 3 market data. So going like even deeper, that's what's displayed on for people for market depth, and showing direct ordering of the or positioning the queue for the matching engine where the orders are. You can see if someone is trying to spoof your orders, like how far you are in the execution queue at a given price level, like pretty in-depth stuff. And if you're a trader, I think it's pretty unique value proposition.
Okay, so let's say there is a whole bunch of people, who want to help you, who want to provide feedback, both from traders' perspective, from the security perspective, UX, UI, you name it, right? So why should they do it? Why should they help Cube, and why shouldn't they go for anybody else?
Yeah, sure. I think we are very responsive. Like we implement features almost like and release them on the daily level. Yeah. So if you have an idea, like sometimes going to these bigger platforms, it's pretty tricky to convince them like, hey, can you add this? This is very different. Like we are building the tools like directly for you, and you have like this very strong team behind all the ideas that you are bringing. So like if you try going to Coinbase and tell them like, hey, like I actually want you to add something to the like depth of book view, like good luck.
Okay, so let's make it a mental experiment. We, on the Bourbon side, we've been helping both the individual clients and institutions for years, right? And one of the very helpful aspects is the personalized strategies that we have for traders.
Yeah.
Since you were saying, Bartosz, that there is a daily kind of like daily introduction of those new concepts to Cube, how can we for instance give to the people the access to our tools via Cube? How is it possible?
Yeah, so like if you have your own trading platform that you are giving to people with strategies, you could directly integrate it with the API. But we could also expose the strategies to, for example, only people that are trading with your groups. Like that's doable as well. Almost like unique strategies. We have some of that with something that we are calling bundles, where you can create your custom bundles of different tokens and people can trade them, and they behave almost like a portfolio type of thing that people can manage on their own. Same with like creating multiple orders, different levels. Yeah, we can do a lot on that side.
Okay. Do you have options for copy trading?
Not yet, but it's on the roadmap, and I know for people like yourself with like large following, copy trading is like very important. We're working on that.
Okay, I'm trying to put myself and play a little bit of the devil's advocate and put myself in the shoes of the of those traders. Let's say there's a whole decision, right? Because there's an analysis paralysis. We have every single day we face, centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges. There are like 50 different advertisements that you see, and luck has it that some of them are not even regulated, right? And it takes a lot of time to get to the regulatory framework that is acceptable by law, that is actually prominent for the business itself, that is beneficial for all the users as well, right? So what's your journey? What's your journey kind of like looking, for the whole legislation part, for the whole regulatory framework? Like how's it looked until now for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work. We have the team, both internal and external, working like across multiple countries, right? So like you are from Poland, I'm from Poland. We have like VASP in Poland, and we are expanding on like literally country by country. Like, hey, what would it take for first spot, then other type of trading to be available in those countries, and yeah, it's a global business and it's hard. It takes some time, but very talented team. So.
Okay, so what are the licensing endeavors? Do you happen to have any strive for any particular licenses that are missing yet?
So main one that like a lot of people ask is like we are not available in US, and you cannot trade from any of our countries, and right now there's no specific plan to get to US. So I like that's like in short, and then every other country we are working hard on it to get it as soon as possible online.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you, Bartosz. So what I'm thinking is, as we're kind of like getting close to this quick AMA round, what's the one thing about your future progress, about the future plans, about Cube? What's the one thing that you cannot tell us and you still tell us?
So right now it's only spot, right? And we are adding both like margin and derivatives trading pretty soon. We are also adding something that we are calling implied, which will allow you to trade much more efficiently across pairs that don't have direct order books. It's one of my favorite features. So if you are trading with fiat, let's say Bitcoin Euro and Bitcoin USD, Bitcoin Euro is always having larger spreads, thinner books, and pretty tricky to trade. We are actually going to make it more efficient with the feature that we are releasing pretty soon, where you will be able to execute and place both limit orders and market orders directly in those books that don't necessarily have like active market makers with the same liquidity that's available on the main market.
Okay, makes sense. And before we kind of like depart, what's the one thing, one main message, one main golden takeaway that you would like to leave our viewers and listeners with before we go?
I would say try it out. Send us a feature idea that you think you're missing from other exchange, and we'll add it pretty quickly, and we'll keep doing it until like people are really happy with what we have.
Okay. And where can everybody go to check and give it a try? Where should it go?
It's Cube.Exchange.
Cube.Exchange. And while we are there, this is something for you to consider for everybody who's watching and listening to that right now. There is a whole beautiful Twitter profile on the Cube.Exchange that you might want to follow. You might want to consider pressing on the follow button. They go under Cube. They're golden verified, so watch out for all the other scammers and impersonators. Cube, and the handle is Cube.Exchange. Cube.Exchange. Consider giving them a follow, and you're going to find a lot of good content as well from Bartosz Lipinski about Cube and about the development. So feel free to drop a follow as well to Bartosz, because that's who's been our guest for today's AMA session. And thank you, Bartosz, for sharing this excellent wealth of knowledge and for spending time with us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bartosz. And for everybody who's watching and enjoyed, definitely do make sure to keep yourself in tune and in check with the updates coming both from the Burp Desk on our Twitter account and on our YouTube, because there's a whole bunch of updates, whole bunch of market insights coming in each and every single day. And just maybe you're gonna see yourself fit into a very good exchange opportunity with Cube. Give it a try, check it out. And this has been Adrian Zdunczyk, CMT Charter Market Edition, talking to you. Thanks for tuning in. God bless you all. See you around, and bye-bye.